Hello everybody and welcome back to another stream. Today, and I totally forgot to throw this out on the socials, so we might want to do that really quick if you're listening. But yeah, so such is life. Um Sometimes we forget things like scheduling messages to go out on the social medias that we're here. But that's okay. Tell your friends. Oh, I am really quiet. Awesome sauce. I don't know why. Maybe if I bring the microphone closer to me. Maybe. Let's see. Let's do this thing. How about now? Is that any better? If not, we'll start playing with toggles. What? Flip the switch. I'm being told to flip a switch. Flip a switch? Flip a switch. Flip a switch. I am significantly louder. Holy crap. Okay, significantly louder. There was a switch to flip. Okie day. Now that we have flipped the switch and I'm blowing everybody's eardrums out, this is great. Where's the coffee? There we go. We're gonna do some actual streaming of actual stuff. Hey, Unstoppable X. Hey, Bullhabeoth. Thank you for joining me today. Hope everybody has their drink of choice on this wonderful Monday. Hope Monday has treated you well. We won't go about how my week started. It's fine. It's Monday. That's how it's supposed to be. You can probably adjust the slider back down just a bit. Okay, we will do that. There we go. Let's see. Can probably take the gain a bit down as well. That should be significantly better now. Hi, Seldom Code. Welcome to the party. Not quite a party yet, but we're going to make it one. We're going to do some web stuff today. We have my wonderful team has started creating me a Martine please do list. It's I think it's the work version of the honey-do list, I think. And marking the stories as streamable. So they're things or content, they're code things that they think might be interesting for a stream, or aren't going to show massive IP that I'm not allowed to show or anything like that. But mostly they're things that are that they feel are going to be interesting for stream. I go through them, of course, and use my best judgment on whether it's actually going to be interesting, because some of them are just going to be an exercise in futility and in me deciding that I'm over it. But such is life. So let's look at our list for today. So one of them is display more blog contributor profile data on the profile page. I think that's a good idea. Let's find out what they want to see. So what we're referring to here is the Andromeda website, which has a blog. And on the blog are what people write. We write things on said blog. Various topics. You can see the tags for the topics. A lot of the code related things are going to be kind of what we specialize in. So accessibility, CSS, JavaScript, TypeScript, Firebase, Angular, those sorts of things. And so what we want to do is, so whoever wrote the data, what we call contributor, is whoever wrote the blog post, or like, let me find one that maybe has more than one person on it. Maybe a reviewer. Nope. That one. Nope. Somewhere it's gotta, there we go. We have, an author and a reviewer maybe. And so it's saying the following information is currently included on the data for blog contributor profiles, but missing from the website. Recognition, online presence of type website. A few aesthetic changes would be nice. Move the pronouns up next to the name. Currently they're just floating on the page out of context. Enlarge the avatar photo and perhaps push it to the left, right, and float the bio text around it. Ooh, a float. We get to play with float. I'm always excited when I get to bring back technology from 1999. And actually float is a lot more interesting than most people think. There's a lot of really cool things you can do with float. It's a shame it's fallen out of favor. Let's add a CTA to the page schema plus website. This could match the custom CTA on the blog post, header, image description, link label, link URL, or be a widget to allow Calendly or contact forms. Well, we could do either. Okay. I'm going to create a vanity URL for Michael Dowden to put on business cards and such which will direct to this landing page that will have everything I need once the story is complete. Okay. Cool. So let's see what the page currently looks like. If I go to Mr. Michael Dowden, it does seem like the pronouns are floating, and yeah, we could totally do something with that avatar. So let's start with that. Some aesthetic things. Before we add more stuff to this, let's start with some aesthetics. The other thing I think I'm going to do is see, I haven't used this in a while, but let's see, do I still have, what was it called? What's the name of that browser? I pay for it. I should really know the name for it. Shoot. Because I really want to see the multiple layouts all at once. Shoot. And I can't remember what it's called, which is causing me problems. It's a browser. Somebody help me here. It's a really cool browser. Come on. Why is it not on my things? What did it get lumped under? Office. No. Other? No. Programming? No. Okay, this makes no sense. This makes no sense. Documents. Let's go to tools. Let's go to tools. Let's go to tools. It should be in here somewhere. Polypane. That's what we're looking at. We're looking for Polypane. Please work. I have a weird install for it. It did work. Sweet. It is not the latest version. I know it's out of date. That's okay. But here's what I want. This is why I want to use it for today, because it allows me to see all my views at the same time. And so we're going to be able to do localhost. We want 8080. I know there's an update available. Oh shit. Of course it did that, because I clicked the button for the update. I know there is. That's... Oh, it updated by itself. Wonderful. That was lucky. Okay. So, and we're going to go in dark mode because I'm not a savage. I'm going to close this for a second. And let's go ahead and go find... What page were we actually on? We're just going to do this. All right. And so from here, I think this will be a little bit nicer to work with because we'll be able to see all three at the same time while we're developing. Now, I don't remember where my breakover points are, so we may adjust these breakover points here in a minute. But this is why I love this browser. Also in terms of some of the accessibility tooling built in and everything. It is totally worth, I don't remember how much I pay for it a year, but it is totally worth the investment. Anyhow. So let's go find, so this is going to be, so what this website is written in is 11D. So let's go find our template. And the 11D has a multitude of choices in terms of template. I went ahead and used Liquid for most. There's a couple things I do in Numchuck, but I used Liquid for most of everything because most of my team works in Angular. And so the syntax is, not a whole lot dissimilar from what you would see in Angular, and so it was very close to what they already knew and made the change or the cutover when they're working on one versus the other a little bit easier. So that is the entirety of why I chose Liquid. You can choose whatever you please. We're gonna go for somewhere in here. We have, I don't remember how I organized this because it's been a hot, probably under blog. Oh, look at that, blog contributors. Magic. It's almost like I named it something that made sense for once. And so in here we have the header. So what I want to find is our style sheet, which is blog contributor CSS, which is actually written in Sass because again, I'm not a complete and utter, not gonna go for complete and utter chaos. We're gonna go contributor, and we want the SAS version. There we go. All right. So one of the requests was to make the image bigger, which we can absolutely do. And since I'm just gonna full screen this and make this a little bigger for y'all. I don't know how. Yeah, could used to be a hair bigger. There we go. And we can decrease that, although I do want to keep an eye on it for when I completely bork the universe and I can't figure out why it's not updating, and it's because it won't build because I borked it. But so this image could used to be bigger. Right now it's 100 by 100 and it's round. Now if we're going to make the content flow around it, round isn't exactly our best friend. So let's go ahead and bring it back to a square. So we're gonna curve some corners, and we could do something fun with that in terms of doing, like, let's say going around the box. I'm gonna do 0 because that's gonna be top right, I believe. So 0. Let's make that one curved. So let's say 8px 0, and that's gonna do half of it and half of it. So if I do that, and let's bring this up to like 200px. No, not insert. I know how to keyboard. And let's go to polypane. Now what we have is see how we have this curve. Now I kind of want it flipped, I think. I want the opposite diagonal. So if I want the opposite diagonal, and I want it a little bit more pronounced, let's go 16. And we're actually going to do 0, 16 so that we can flip which corners are actually affected. And so now, once it updates, there we go. We have a nice pronounced curve on one side, and the, yeah, because that'll fit nicely with the text. And now if I'm going to go ahead and have that floated, it'll work just fine. And we're going to float left. Now if I'm going to float left, I'm also going to want to add a little bit of margin to that float, because right now it's going to come right up against and butt right up against my text as soon as it updates. This is kind of slow to update and annoying, and it did not float. Why did it not float? Let's find out. We have our main with our image. Our H2 should have floated. Why did it not float? Inspect. Do we have, oh, because we're in a grid. But that's instead of our main. That should still float even though we're in a grid. It should have still floated. Because this is a flex. Okay. We may need to add, in order for this to float, no, now these divs are going to have a hard time floating, but these should have floated back up. Let me look at it in Chrome for a minute. These should have floated back up. We have our image. I mean, our H2. Now, why is our H2 this big? Are we missing a closing tag or something? This is weird. The fact that it's doing that is very, very weird. Opening, close. Our image is an image. It's lazy loaded, that's fine. That should be 200 though, because we edited that in the CSS. Not that that's actually our problem, but it's not helping anything. Yeah, it's not helping. That is a display. It's got a before. Don't know why it has a before. It shouldn't have a before. Display care both display table. Ooh. That is why. We have a clear fix. Why do we have a clear fix? Because I use floats in a lot of places. And so we want this H2 to actually not clear fix. Now, in most cases, I actually do want that clear fix. But this one we don't. So what we're going to say is this is going to be our name. And so our H2 name after, I think. You know, it's a before. H2 name before. Display unset. And so that, there we go, there it is. Okay, so we want to make sure that this only, we're only doing this in the contributor anyway, because this is in the contributor, so we're fine. We don't need to scope that too hard. Now we do have some margin here that we want to deal with, right? We have this margin on the top and on the bottom that now that we're here, the top one still makes sense, the bottom one absolutely does not. But if we go back to polypane, we'll notice that, yeah, in these two contexts, sure, in this context, not so much, right? Our layout, I'm going to expand these a little bit in terms of height. I'm not worried about the fold in this context, so we're just going to expand these. We're going to notice that here it doesn't make sense for the image to go ahead and be floated on small screens, right? So let's figure out where I generally put my breakpoints in here. I'm going to Control Shift find at medium, and we can see that generally speaking, our smallest breakpoint is at 630. And it's for blog posts specifically. So if we go ahead and do our float only starting there, we'll probably be in good shape. So at media, min width, 630 px, and we're going to go ahead and take this float and main.contributor img.avatar, and we're going to float that left. So now we're good on the other two, right? And we're actually going to take that clear fix that we cleared. This is clearing the clear fix. That sounds funny, clearing the clear fix. Right, there we go. So now the other thing that I think, ooh, interesting. Now we're not doing anything at all. At media, min width. This is more than 630 though. Yeah, we should. What did I booger up? Why did we clear our float? Because it's main dot contributor, not dash. I can type. Problem exists between keyboard and chair. I really need to, I keep on saying this, I really need to get that soundboard going. So me, hi, I'm the problem, it's me. Okay, so let's deal with the layout on the smaller screens and then we'll move our way up, right? So this he, him, the pronouns is very much floating. And now we see that with there's a very large amount of space between Michael's face and his title. So let's go ahead and fix that. So we're going to change margin 2 rem up top is fine, but not at the bottom. So auto is great because it centers it. And then we're only going to do 1 rem at the bottom. So if we do that, how are we looking? We're still really tall. Why? Inspect. Let's see. That's our image. Because our name has a very tall margin as well. So let's go ahead and fix our name margin, shall we? Why am I beeping? Why am I beeping? Please hold as I figure out. Okay, we're good. That's why I'm beeping. Nothing of note. I was just fielding a prod issue like right before the stream, so you know, details. Wanted to make sure it was all good. Because yeah, nobody wants prod going down. So yeah, we just set our headers to like our display. So here, this is where that h2.name is going to come in. h2.name. We're going to give it a margin bottom, no, a margin top of only 1. And that's going to be maybe not across the board. Maybe across the board. This is fine. All right. Now our top and our categories don't line up, which I don't love. So let's go ahead and fix that. So we're actually going to do, this is going to be 1 and everything. We're just going to bring everything down to 1 rem, shall we? Yeah, margin. Insert. 1 rem, top and bottom, 0 left. Let's see what that does. Come on. There we go. That's a little bit better. Now, both the image, we have the image, they're not collapsing. No, they are collapsing the margin. Cool. But why? What's this before? The before should be killed. It does have this BR before the small, which is kind of odd. Why? Are we forgetting to get rid of a BR? Name small title. Because it should be contributor.name. That should help some. There we go, much better. And then we kind of want those pronouns somewhere. And that actually might be a good place for them, and it's in this block at the top. So let's go ahead and find those pronouns. This might be worth being a header, because the pronouns, yeah. Now we do want, we're not necessarily going to have pronouns for everybody because that is not a required field in our CMS. Don't, that way. That is a personal choice whether people want to put those in there for us. So it is definitely going to be an end if. So if contributor pronouns dot length greater than 0. And I have to do that because Liquid doesn't work quite the same as regular JavaScript. There we go. And we have the he, him, which we definitely want to be probably a small in this case. As actually, we just don't close this one. And we BR this. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Tab. And we do want the BR. Yes. Now this one may need a BR as well. There we go. Now I do want to add a little bit of room above this small to kind of give the name some breathing room. And the name almost feels smaller than the small, which is weird. So let's fix that. So we're going to do a small margin top. Let's say 0.5 EX. And we're going to make it a font size of, let's say, 0.875 EM because I want it relative to that H2. So I want to guarantee that it's a little bit smaller than the H2 itself. And so without having to worry about the size of the H2, there we go. I can go ahead and shrink it by making it relative to the H2. Now I don't love the way that the balance is on this. But his title is particularly long. Let's see somebody with maybe a shorter title. Let's see Tony's title. If we do that, open in a new tab. Can I do that? Copy link. Sure, that's fine. We'll do that. We'll do a new tab. I'm gonna paste you here. Yeah, that works pretty well. Okay. So that pans out. Right. All right. So we have two examples to look at now. I do still want to give the name a little bit of room. So what I may do is max with the small. That's maybe what I do. If we do a max with, let's say, 52 CH, and then a white tag, I think it's text wrap balance. Wrap balance. That should allow it to wrap nicely, especially with the balance in there. It did not. Maybe because 52 is too wide. Inspect element. It is taking the 52, but small is not a display block. It's not a display block. It's a display inline by default. And so that is why our issue. So we're going to do a display block. I wish it would have faster. Okay, now it should have taken and done something with it, unless my 52 is too wide. Would also help if I had, no, I did put semicolon. Okay, so if we go smaller, if I do 26. Nope. Oh, I didn't take it. Okay, it's 26 a little small. 52 was definitely too big. Let's do 32. That's not bad at all. Let's see what that looks like on Tony, because his is a little bit different, and that still fits Tony just fine. Sweet. So let's do that. And now what we need to do is margin 0 auto that though. All right, so we said 32. And then we're going to margin 0 auto. Actually, we do have a margin top of 0.5x. Was that enough? It could use a little bit more. So we're going to do 1EX, and we are going to do 1EX auto, and then 0. There's my coffee. There's my coffee. All right. Now, the problem is we are obviously floated, and so it is centering, but it is centering to the page without taking this image into consideration at all, which is mildly problematic. So we are going to need to take this image into consideration when doing our 0 auto. And so the image, we know when we're floated. So in here, right, it's floated to the center just fine. No biggie, not a problem. Why are you still a problem? You should have wrapped. Why did not you wrapped? You did not wrap. Inspect. You do have your max width of 32. That's odd. And that is not, we don't have that in the media query. No, we do not. That should actually validate just fine. Why it's not is an interesting conundrum. That is very, very weird. Hold on, my contents. Let's see. Let's make sure you have. No. That is the small tablet. Mobile small tablet. So we are on the small tablet. And it does have 32. So if I gave it 24 CH, would it do? Yeah, it does do the same. So it's interesting that it wraps in one. Oh, it wraps in one and not the other because of the width available. That's weird. Excuse me. That's very weird. Okay. Hold on. I just lost one of my tabs. It's all good. No worries. Hold on. I lost my tab to be able to follow and make sure that I can answer your chats, which is not good, obviously. We definitely want to be able to view your chats. There we go. There we go. Now I can view your all chats again. Okay, so right, we did that. We need to do the margin on the image. That's the next thing, right? And so to align the margin on the image, we have currently a margin of 1 rem auto for here, and we're happy with our mobile view, right? Our mobile view is fine, but we're not happy with this view. This view is not fine. Definitely not fine. So let's go ahead and fix that. So we want the image here. Margin bottom is what we need to fix. Margin. So top 1 rem, left 1 rem, bottom. Let's probably 1 rem, and then left 0. Let's see what that does. That should give the text a little bit more room and align it nicely. Too much on the bottom. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So this is top. What happens if we do top 0? No, top 1 rem. Let's do that 2 rem. Give it a little bit more breathing room. and do 0 at the bottom, 0 on the left. I can count to 4. Nice, much nicer. So now we have a nice spacing between it. Now notice this jagged edge, we can make this a little bit better. So this is our content, which is going to be, this is the bio right here. We're going to give that a div class equals bio. And inside of that bio, I'm going to say div.bio columns 1, and I'm going to say hyphens auto, and then justify content justified. No, I want text align. That's text align justify. That's what I'm looking for. And so now what I'm going to get is, it's going to be justified content, which generally is a little bit harder to read, but because I've allowed for hyphens, which you can only do in columns, we should be hyphenating text, which does not seem like we are. And that broke. Well, that's poo-poo. We're going to want to do that all the way up here then. Yeah. Because after the bio, we get into some other stuff like social medias and whatever else is. That's a different ballgame. Now we should be back to actually. There we go. However, as you can see, it is not hyphened. So we're going to do the same thing with everything inside of a P or paragraph tag, also inside of the bio. So div.bio. An immediate child, that's a paragraph tag. I want you to be treated the same way. And no, we are not going to handle random. How do I delete you? I want a mod action so that I can delete the spam. I want to reply. I want to mod it. Banhammer. Band. Goodbye. We don't post random crap in my channel. Okay. Back to your regularly random generated program. Now that we're done banhammering people. That did not do the trick. Interesting. So once it's in a column. Alright, so we're not going to be able to do our little paragraph trick and float. That seems odd. Maybe it's just the paragraph? Oh, because the image would not be in the paragraph. I wonder if that's maybe why our float, because their image is not inside the paragraph, and the paragraph is brought in by the markdown. So there's not a whole lot I can do there. So this is actually a terrible idea. We're not going to do that. As much as it was cute, it was a cute idea. We're not going to do that. And it's not hyphenating correctly anyway. All right. So now we have our text. Okay. Ooh, we need to fix this. The see how this mastodon? See how the mastodon icon has the white in it? That's problematic. Let's fix that. So let's find the mastodon icon. This is the Mastodon icon. What I'm going to do, because we can't preview it this way, is I'm going to control copy. Ooh, this is one. It already has a fill of none. So where's the white coming from? Interesting. Let's find out. So that is got the var primary color to. There is a fill. Path fill white. There is a fill somewhere. Where's it coming from? That is coming from. Let's look at the social widget. That's the socials. So it's not coming from there. Essentially what I need to find is where this fill white is coming from, this fill FFF. And that is going to be... Alright, let's go find fill equals... There you go. There it is. That is a fill white. And that should not be. This is a fill none. Or this is a fill... Promise if I do a fill none, I think what's going to happen is it's going to fill as to the color of... Yeah, it's losing the entirely. So what we need to do here is have an account for is it dark or not dark, and knowing are we in dark mode or not, which we can absolutely do. We know this because we are doing it by looking at, it would be on the skeleton. At some point. Don't do it on the body. Do I do it on the HTML? Nope. Do I do it in JavaScript? I do it in JavaScript. And I add the theme accordingly to the JavaScript. Okay, so what we're going to do is in our style.css, we're going to do a .mastodon inner, and that's going to be it's going to be a background white. Wonder if you could just use the CSS variable here. I'm curious now. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but I'm curious now. I've never tried this before. That worked here, although it could very well be black. We'll find it. Let's see what happens in light mode. Nope, it worked. Sweet! No need for fancy schmancies. Sweet. Right, that fixed the Mastodon thing. So we don't actually need to do this that I was going to do in here. Okay, back to figuring out layout in here. We did the bigger, we gave it more room. The he, him could actually still be, not diminished. Actually, we still need to handle the fact that we've added margin here to handle that image and to push that image over. So we know that the image is 200 pixels because we set that. And then we also have one more rem for the margin itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to need to make sure that those two, that header has a 1 rem. Actually, we don't need to go that far. We don't need to make it that complicated. Oh no, we do, because I gave it a max size. That's why we need to make it complicated. The title itself does not have a max size, which is why it is centering correctly. So it's already aligned center, maybe. Possibly, yeah, it's already aligned center. What we do need to do, though, is do a... Yeah. Right, so the name, it's just the small. And it's because we gave the small... Inspect element. Our H2 goes all the way. And that goes all the way. What? But it's centered. Oh, interesting. That's going to cross the whole. That BR does not need to live there anymore because we made it a display block. Might as well get rid of it. Well, we are pronouns. Title, this BR does not need to exist. But that one's in line and not that. That's the trouble. Because this is in line. I wonder if we do... If I do an inline block, it would behave. Because we're still aligned center. And then I don't have to do margin math. I may have to do margin math either way, but... Okay, that worked. But now our max width has gone by the way of the dodo, even though I gave it an inline block. I do 24. Nope, it did not go by the way of the dodo. I think I just need to make it smaller. That's not bad. Just get rid of the max width, honestly, and not have to worry about all of this. We'll leave the white space in case it does wrap, though. Okay. We did want to, on the small, we have, this is the pronouns. So I'm actually going to do this as span. And we're going to give it a class pronouns. And then here we're going to do, yeah, pronouns. And that's going to be a span. can be a display block or inline block. Actually, no, in this case I do want the block. Actually, no, that's going to cause issues. We're going to go back to having that BR and not mess with block inline block. But we are going to make this a font style italic. No, not font type style italic and a font size of even smaller. So we're going to say font size 75 EM. And that should take it down a notch. If I do the point, it helps. Point. Quite the difference there. Just a hair, a tad, a smidge. You know, nothing much, just a hair. Apparently I'm getting notifications on this screen, which is not what I want. We're going to turn those off because nope, nobody wants those. How do I turn those off? Somewhere I should have configure. Show open application settings. There we go. Turn those off for a second. Ta-da. Alright. Alrighty. Next bit is going to be to oh, that's funny. Because of the way YouTube works, my avatar ends up in front of my face on YouTube. That's just glorious, and it's not quite aligned well enough either. That's unfortunate. Anyway, thanks YouTube for that. Cool. That's done. We're still a little tall here. I wouldn't mind. How much margin did we put on the bottom? We put 0 on that image, didn't we? Where's the image? Yeah, we did 0. Let's do a line height of 0. We do a line height of 0. Does that? No. Where is this coming from? Because we still have room underneath here that is uncanny. Inspect. It's not coming from there. So it's coming from the paragraph. Inspect element. That is literally just the text height. Gotcha. So let's take off, that's problematic. Let's take off a little bit of the top margin. Actually, why did we end up? We're missing a BR somewhere. I took out, oh, I didn't save, that's why. Now we should be in better shape. If it reloads. Ta-da. Okay, that's a little small now, especially in italics. So let's bring that back up a bit. Actually, if we just make it italics and not, because italics is hard enough. You got really quiet there for a bit. Is it better now, or was it still being quiet and dumb? That's better. Okay, cool. And now we have that. Sweet. So what else is in our little story of what it is we're trying to do? Move the pronouns up. They're no enlarge the photo avatar, wrap the text around it. Cool. The following information currently included in the broad contributor profile missing. Online presence of type website and recognition. So we're going to do that next, but Twitch is yelling at me that I'm about to be hit with a ad. So let's go ahead and take a short break. Go ahead and grab some coffee, stretch, go to the privy, whatever. We'll be back in like 1 minute. That way I can go refill my coffee cup, figure out why my sound is being dumb, and see you back shortly in about 1 minute, and then we'll hit this little half of the story. And we're back with sound. Imagine that. If I click the button, it helps. So for those who just joined, we are continuing to edit the profile page on the blog for the Andromeda website. We just finished refinagling the avatar and some of the content on the header aspect of it. And now we are going to do this part, which is add the online presence of type website and the recognition. So let's go ahead, because I usually keep, let's start with the online of type website. I usually keep these in alphabetical order, but I think because it's the person's website, I think I want to keep that first. It just makes sense to have that, or their personal website or whatever. So let's go ahead and let's look at our model super quick, because I don't remember it off the top of my head. We're going to go ahead and grab the Andromeda website and its model. Sign in to ignition, and we're going to go ahead and find in our schemas what is our model. So this is a collaborators, and we have on there an online presence, and the online presence is a repeater. So let's go figure that one out, and it has a type in a URL. Easy enough. Okay, so we do have a blog contributors social, and so we should be able to have a type of probably website. If I do this, and I think it's website. And we'll do, I think our SVG for that is going to be, I should have them all in here somewhere. Website, there we go. We want to take that. And title website, we'll do personal website. There we go. And so now if I go here, it came in. Why did it? Oh, because I'm sorting them. All right. And that brings him to a link tree for him. Cool. And I think for me, if I go to mine, okay, Tony, let's go back to Tony's. Tony doesn't have one, I don't think. No, but I do. I should have my personal profile listed. I don't. Well, that's a mistake. Why did it go back to Tony? Come back to me. That's a mistake. Well, let's go add that really quick. See if that works out correctly. So if I go to collaborators and I go to collections, collaborators, and I go find myself, there I am, and I add in my socials. Yeah, I don't have my personal website. Account type, website, yes, ://martine.deb. I'm gonna save that. We're gonna go ahead and go to, now I have to pull the data because that's new data. So we're going to call npm run pull dev. And we're going to go ahead and npm start. And now if I go back to here, I need to change my profile picture. I really don't love that one. That's okay. We can do that some other time. I've got some other ones in there somewhere. Should have built by now. Yeah, it built. So let's refresh that. And now my profile is here. Personal website, and it should go to martin.dev. Beautiful. Okay. So now, all right. What else was on here? I need to find. Okay. So that can, well, there's no point in pushing it to prod at the moment. I can push it to test though. All right, so then we have recognitions. Recognition, let's see. Do I have a profile with recognitions on it? This one does not. Let's see if Mike does. Let's do collaborators. Let's go look for Michael. I'm just gonna do Dowden should bring up the both of us. There we go. We'll do Michael. So does he have recognitions on here? Yes, he does. Okay, so we need to build something from scratch. This does not exist at the moment. So let's go ahead and build that out all together. So I'm going to do okay. Let's start with where do we want to put it? Probably right under the, yeah, latest post should probably be at the bottom. Let's do recognitions in between that and the socials. So here's our socials right here. So we're going to do our recognitions over here. So we're going to end up with an if. And let's look at the schema really quick. So we have, oh, those are company ones. Those are not necessarily, yeah, those are company recognitions versus collaborator recognitions, which are independent recognitions. It's got a key of recognition, and it's gonna have a name, image, URL, start date, end date. Okay, so we're gonna have to format that with our start date and end date. But let's start with end of. So it's going to be recognition. And we're going to do the class recognition. And we're going to do a UL li. And we'll go ahead and style that in a second. Right now I just want a data dump. Ahref equals, actually we don't necessarily have an href, but we do have, the only thing that's actually mandatory is going to be the name. So, but we do have an image. Okay, so we can do if recognition dot image dot URL dot length greater than 0. And then we're going to, that's going to give us the opening of our href. Href equals recognition. No, that's not our, that's our image. Okay, hold on. We first want to do that for the URL, which is just URL. So recognition.url. That's for our href. The URL. And then if it has an image, that's going to be img src recognition. Oh, we need a for loop. That would be good. For recognition in contributor.recognition. And I think it's just for post in, yeah. Okay, so good. And then we close that for here. There we go. And okay, mg recognition. So this is going to be rec that image that URL, and then we have the alt equals rec that image that alt text default blank, and then we have, actually it'll auto default that to nothing. We don't need to do that. And then we can do what else do we need? Oh, a title. And then we're gonna have the rec that. Why do I keep on putting a T? I'm too used to SVGs. Rec that name. And that if for the href needs to get closed. And then the closing for it needs to go here. Oops. It's gonna be the same as this. That looks about right. Maybe. All right, let's see how bad we did. Well, it's building, so that's a good good indication. It's good news. All right. So let's see. Not quite done building yet. Reloading browsers. Reload the browser. Reload the browser. We got nothing. Why did we get nothing? Because he has some. So is it a case of I can't spell? Okay. Let's see. Hmm. Are you picking up my changes? Oh, y'all can't see my screen. Great. There we go. It is not picking up my changes. That is very odd. Did we flub? No. Oh, there we did. We did. All right. If and if. Oh, look at that. We didn't end if this end if. Magic. Magic. It compiles. It's almost like when you actually close your tags. It helps. Almost. Just sometimes. Just occasionally. Okay. Now we get to style it. So we end up with images that are kind of haphazard and within size. Although whoever uploaded these did a good job at having them some semblance of okay in terms of similar sizing. And we can actually link these. Cool. And we do need a date. We don't have the date on here. So the last thing we're going to do is the date. So on the date, what we're going to do is we're going to do if rec dot, and what did we call that on the schema? Start date. Okay, those are start date. I have start date dot length. We'll probably need to, if we don't have one already, create a pipe for that. So here's our start date. And then what we're going to want to do, give this a time tag. What we're going to want to do, actually, I'm going to assume you don't have an end date. Like in order to have an end date, you're going to have a start date. And I'm making that assumption based on the fact that I know what kind of recognitions like the people on this team would have. That's not necessarily going to always be true for every situation, but in this particular one, I'm making that assumption because I know, generally speaking, what kind of recognitions this team has. And so we're going to do, if you have a start date listed, we're going to put the start date. And then I'm going to make the assumption that in order to have an end date, you have to have a start date. So we're going to do an if. Actually, we don't even have to make that assumption. We can do or rec that end date, that length greater than 0. And then rec that start date rec that end date. Now we do need the ifs in the middle of those. So now if rec that start date dot length greater than 0. Um, yeah. And the only thing we need to do here is change this to end date. All right. Let's see what that gives us. Once it reloads. Unless I broke it again. I did rect instead of rec. There we go. Alright. So now we should have dates as well. Okay. And our dates end up showing up how? They don't. Now did the question is, oh, that should help a lot. Okay, we do have dates. So now we need to style them, and they are coming through in ISO, which is great, because I believe we have Lux on. So let's look at our 11d.json or JS, and we're gonna add a filter from ISO month year. Look at that, we already have one. So we're going to pipe that. Because we already have the filter. Yep, December. Well, the second one didn't take. It's interesting. That's very interesting. The first one worked, but not the second one. Even though that is very much an ISO date. Weird. Weird. I'm gonna put a BR here just to for the time being. Oh no, it's there. And that second one just isn't taking. Why? Why? Because we have they're both properly formed. It's always the second one. Yet they're formatted the same. Let's look at our liquid. It was an invalidate. It's like it's not running. Like it's legitimately acting as though it's not running. If I take it off the first one, does it work on the second one? So I took it off the first one. Let me put some separation, make this easier to read. Now the second one just doesn't work, even though they're the same. The first one does. So it has nothing to do with the first one, because taking it off the first one, but their data's the same. It's like if I take this out. Like they're built exactly the same. Weird. It's very weird. That is very, very weird. It's like it's not running at all. When they have the same start and end date, let's look at the data really quick. Which is even weirder because I know his are still active, so why would they have an end date? Yeah, they don't have an end date. End date, end date. So why are they coming back with an end date? Start date, end date, end date. And it's building fine. Oh, there's the start date. That's why. That's not what we're looking at all. This is what's going on. Now it's going to be great. There's going to be only the one. And it had nothing to do with the fact that the filter's not working. It had everything to do with the fact that I had it in there twice. Magic. Okay. Cool. Now we can take these out. And we can start styling this. Okay. We have closing spans that we have no opening spans for. That's not genius. Let's fix that. That's not going to help anything. So now that we have actual links for all of these, we can go ahead and kind of debating on whether I want to make just the title linkable or go ahead and make the image linkable as well. I could go either way on that. But let's start with contributor. Do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. Ah, come on. There we go. All right. Let's start with our list itself, right? We have in our recognitions, no matter what view you're in, recognition, probably plural in this case, recognitions, RUL is going to be a padding 0, list style type none, and that will already start getting us at least something that we can work with in terms of making some tiles. Even though these images are well sized in terms of not being absolutely massive, gigabyte, ridiculous, high def, all the things, let's go ahead and cap their sizes. We're going to go with the Microsoft size since it's the smallest one in the bunch. We're going to arbitrarily say 256 by 100. Great. 246. 246 it is. We're going to say your max width is 250 because that's easier to remember than 246. So we're going to say that your IMG is going to be of a display block of a max width of 250 px and margin of 0 auto for now. So that gets us looking, should be getting us looking pretty decent. There we go. From that standpoint, now we need to handle the fact that we have a name that we probably want to make prominent as well as a date, and we need separation between them, right? Give some room between all of this stuff. So to do that, we are going to add a span. Actually, we didn't give this a title. This is an H2, so this would be logically H3. And then, so these would actually technically be H4s. Now the fact that they're in a link is kind of dubious in terms of giving them an H. So I think, and it's already a list. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do span class equals title. Okay. So now that we have that, we've got some things we need to contend with. We have a title and we have a time. So I'm going to start by addressing the time really quick. And so with our time, we have spans. So if we have a span that is last of type, but not first of type, what we're going to want to do before is give it a content of space dash space. That way you get your, you've got your start and your end date, right? So if it did have a start and end date, it would go ahead and show the first dash the last, right? So right now, where'd my dates go? There you go. None of them have, so, but it's based on spans. So if I went ahead and added a second start span, you'll see that it should do the date. So like for the first one, February 24th, dash February 24th. It did not. Interesting. So something about what I wrote. We have a time, we have a span. Oh, last of type. Not note, not spelling. Funny how it works better when you can spell. We'll see. Well, we'll find out if it works better. There we go. Now we have a dash. Versus if I go ahead and remove that extra one that we just added. Now we'll see that it's not going to have this random trailing dash because we don't have a end date. What we could do is go ahead and put a end date dash to present, which is also an option. So we could say if your end date, right? That's your if, you're on your end date. Else span present. And so now it would have it every time, but it would very clearly show that it's still active. Or not. What did I bugger off? Else. We have an if. Oh, because I have me end if. That's where I buggered it up. Because now we have essentially this. Else. This. End if. Right. Oops. And that should do the thing. Do thing. There we go. Now we have the present. Which I kind of like. All right. Because it makes it very obvious what's going on. On the end date part of life. So then, so that handles our time. That does not, however, handle anything about our title. So what we do have a present, which I'm going to do a font style italic, and this whole thing is going to have a display block. Now we need to handle the actual name of the certification or of the thing in question, right? So what we're going to do there is we're going to, did we give it a class? We did give it a class. Cool. That does go back one. Something is off. No, that's correct. Why are we off on the alignment? No, we're good. Right. We did give it a title. That's where we're off on the alignment. There you go. So in here we have a title, and that's going to be a font weight bold, font size 1.25 rem, and let's go ahead and look at what that looks like. Ironically bigger than its counterpart, than its H4 counterpart, or H3 counterpart, which has a okay. Maybe we leave maybe we do like a 1.1 or something. Because we do want it slightly bigger than its counterparts. The bold already kind of does it. Okay. That's good. So then we need to go ahead and deal with actually making this into something, giving it some white space, and possibly, like, it is a link, but it's kind of odd with the color. So let's deal with some hover and some link effects. So our allies are going to have a more, actually we're going to display flex this one entire thing, because we're going to go ahead and probably do some we're going to display grid. Oh no, I'm going to display flex, and right now we're going to do a gap of 1 rem. Now keeping in mind that, and we're going to do a flex wrap. And so now on the larger screen where you have the room for it. Oh, gross. I told you to wrap. It did not, in fact, wrap. Why not? There it goes. There's the wrap. Okay. So now as the screen has more size, it's going to have more room to grow. The thing is, our images aren't going to line up if I do that, which I don't love at all. Short of giving them a height restriction, which we can do. So we gave him a max width. We're also going to give it a max height. So we base the max width on this guy. Let's base the max height on this guy. Actually, instruct. Computed. No, I want layout. Computed. No. I want. What's this? Interesting. Is that so that you can say I don't know what that does. Ew. That's kind of cool, actually. You can just do it in here and then copy your stuff out. That's actually really cool. Okay. So you can try your styles. That's really cool. That's not what I was looking for, though. What I was looking for is figuring out what's the size of this guy. We said 250, we'll say 88, we'll say 100. So we're gonna say max height, actually 100%, because we're gonna grid this. No, I wanted to flex it, but I can grid inside my li. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do an li display grid template rows 100 px auto, which is just one thing after that. Well, you've got your name and your time. Yeah, you've got the title and the time. Actually, it's not the li that we want to do, it's the a, the anchor tag. It's the anchor tag element. And now, to prevent any distortion on the image, because I don't think we only dealt with min and maxes, so I don't say, let's say if I did this at like 25 px, I don't know that it would distort the image, but if it does, we can fix that. It is not respecting the width. Why not? Because I definitely gave it a max width of 25 px, which is absolutely not respecting. Inspect. Max width. The max height is not showing. Because I wrote max height width twice. Brilliant. Brilliant! Brilliant, I tell you. So now, let's see, we refresh. No, it is not distorting, which is nice. And I think Chrome has the same behavior. I believe, yes. So it's going to scale wonderfully. So now we have our image, we have our margin, we have our stuff. Let's go ahead and text align center our title and our time. So dot title and time. We're gonna text align center, and we're gonna do a text wrap balance. Cool. So that looks good. Now notice that we did, let me go back to this guy. We did a wrap, right? We did a flex box so that we could flex them, which is great. Except there's the one little bit of a caveat in that in doing so, we don't align very, very well in this use case because we're never really setting a max width for our element as a whole, essentially. So we possibly have some really short ones, some really wide ones, which is why I was toying with the idea of a grid. And I think I'm going to go back to that concept simply so that I can have some nice, neat columns and some nice, neat rows. So if we do go ahead and do that, we're going to display grid. We're going to gap on the columns On the rows, I'm going to say 2 rem. On the columns, I'm going to say 1 rem. Actually, we're just going to do 2 rems all around. And we're going to leave it at that on the smaller screens. Once we hit the larger screen, though, we're going to go ahead and make that grid template columns repeat 3 times 1fr. And let our stuff kind of fall into it from that point. Let's see what that gives us. We might, 2 is not going to be big enough. I don't know. That's not bad except for our overflow. And we're overflowing because we're getting too wide. And why are we getting too wide? Probably because of our images. So since our images are, we didn't set an image on here. No, but we did set images. We did set max. So we're going to say width 100%, max width height 100%, max height 100%. We're going to say height 100%, max height 100%, and then that's kind of irrelevant at that point. And we're going to do an object fit contains, which will prevent things from distorting. And that should temper our overflow. Possibly. Magic. Okay. So what we do want with the image is we have one of 2 options. We can line them up at the top or we can line them up at the bottom. I think we're going to line them up at the top. To line them up at the top, we want that image to be align self flex start, or just start in this case. And that should line them up to the top of their container. It did not line it up to the top of their container. Why? Why, my little darlings? Inspect element. We have a grid with a code template column. I want an image. Where's our image? Our beautiful image. It's actually an SVG. Huh. Cool. Because the heck, oh no, because I'm selecting on the wrong thing. I was gonna say that's there's no way in, okay, there's our image. So align self start does not, is it justify? Place self? No. Interesting. Do we have margin? That's necessary. Interesting. Should be able to align self though. Like that should have put it. Kind of surprised it's not doing anything. That's what it's behaving like. It's just not moving. What are our options? Oh. That's very odd. Oh, because the image is actually sits on the object fits. That's what it is. Ah, that's why it's not doing anything. So here where we have the object fit contain, object start, object position, top. And that should raise it up to the bottom, to the top, so that these three are aligned at the top. It won't make a hell of a difference here, but there we go. There we go. So, and I don't think we actually need this. We just, this max, we just need to set max height on the height, because that'll take it automatically, and that might prevent some of the skewing initially. That kind of looks fugly. It does. It does. It does. All right. So we have the developer. So we have all three there. That looks pretty good. I'm not hating. We have it looking good on multiple screen sizes. What else was in this story? The pronouns. Let's add a CTA. I think, what time is it? Adding a full-blown CTA. It is already 11 o'clock and we have already been going for a little bit. I think we are going to call it a night and maybe save the CTA for next time. But we did definitely make some great progress on giving this a little bit of it. Let me pull up the other view because this is so much nicer. Definitely giving it some better vibes in terms of looking better. It looks nice on multiple screen sizes. We've got a good nice layout there going on. It reflows nicely based on the screen size. Totally before and after. Sure. Let's go find the prod version. So Andromeda galactic.com will get us there. Blog. Let's go find one of Michael's blogs that way. Oh, there we go. We can go directly to the author page. So this is the before. This is the before. Let me make this wide. This is the before. So we had a kind of wasted space. The name was only up here, so by the time you scrolled down here, you forgot who you're looking at anyway. And definitely needing to add that extra content. We fixed the M here. It was looking fine in light mode, right? In light mode, the white wasn't coming across because that, but with the dark mode, because of it being hard coded to white, it wasn't working at all. And then, which was not in the story, but I noticed it, so we might as well fix it because that's how it goes. I'm not going to leave it broken if I noticed it was broken. And then we went ahead and added that extra content. So we have the before and the after, which looks a lot nicer. A little bit more compact, but I don't know that I hate the fact that it's a little bit more compact. We definitely have more association with the name. We do have the duplicated name, which I don't know. There's pros and cons to that. But it is looking significantly better. I do, for next time though, there's a little bit of alignment. See with the top of the picture, I kind of want to line out with the name a little bit better, I think. But outside of that, I think it's just a matter of tweaking the margin just a hair. But outside of that, I think we've gotten in a situation that looks really nice. These are clickable. So we're in good shape. All right, so with that, I hope everybody has a great week and didn't have a too terrible of Monday, because I mean it's Monday, who loves Mondays? But I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. We'll be back theoretically same time, same place next week, doing more of the same. I'll either have something specific. If you get on my social media, I am happy to take requests on concepts to show on stream. If not, if we don't have anybody with any particular concepts or ideas or anything, we'll probably go back to our trusty list of streamables, nicely prepared from the team, or if I come up with some old hair on something else we got to do, or we might play a video game, because once in a blue moon we do that. But for the most part, we're gonna go back to some just some fun web stuff, because I miss the web and I'm tired of writing, you know, heavy duty applications. Sometimes it's nice to get back to just writing some plain old web stuff. So with that, I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your week. Do check out my socials at martine.dove. The bottom of the page has all my links to all of the places. Like and follow if you enjoy what you're seeing. This will be reposted on this stream, will be reposted at some point because it is YouTube Live. So actually it'll be reposted almost immediately on YouTube. So do check out my channel there if you want to catch up on previous streams, or in case you miss a stream, like and follow that. And I hope to see you all next week. Have a great one, everybody.